within centuries, we've seen three forms of moral codes in society. The theonomous, the heteronymous, and the autonomous. So the theonomous is a society will listen to theonomous God, and God will make that moral code. So a society will act in certain ways, have certain principles, because they believe the scriptures. Because God is their ultimate form of their moral code. So they get their reasoning, they get their do this, don't do this, this is right, this is wrong, live by this code because God has given it. And what we said, you apply the moral code of what Jesus said to sexuality, there's order in this world. So if we're going to apply God's moral code, there's order. Okay? Then there's the heteronymous, and that is leaders, people, will dictate moral codes to people. A heteronymous moral code. And we apply these things to what people to other people. So if you see in Iran, if you see in Iraq, they're very specific as to how people should live their life. This is how you should wash your hands, this is when you should do it, etc. So not God, but people will dictate what other people have to live by, a form of moral code. And now we have where we're at right now, and this is what we call the autonomous moral code. It's not God, it's not people, but it's you. Individually, you create what is right, you create what is wrong. So this is what we call moral relativism. Okay? So what's right and wrong is not objective, but it's subjective depending upon you. So you create what is right or wrong. So when it comes to issues of sexuality, when it comes to issues of war, whatever it is, it's you creating it. Okay? So as far as what's right, what's wrong, there is no moral, there is no objective, it's subjective. But the thing is this, when you have a conversation with someone who has an autonomous moral code, and there's a disagreement, because there's always going to be a disagreement, right? Because they created it. And all of a sudden they gang up on you, like communities here in Los Angeles, and they protest. All of a sudden they're creating community, they're saying, no, you should live like this. Wait a moment. You've all of a sudden jumped from an autonomous moral code to a heteronymous moral code. Now all of a sudden you're the leader. You see what I'm saying? So my point, you cannot operate a society functionally with an autonomous moral code. It's chaotic. For example, and it's all logical. Think of this. If someone, an atheist, comes up to you and says this, I don't believe in God. God doesn't exist because of the problem of evil. There's so much evil going on. Hold up. Within the question, what you have done is you've inserted evil. So by assuming evil, you assume good. You see? By stating evil, this is evil, you're assuming that there's a good. So there's morality. There's good and there's evil. You stated it. But the thing is this, within the question, you also are inadvertently denying the God that has given the moral code, God, because in the question you're denying God. There's evil, there's evil, therefore there is no God. But the thing is this, there is no God. That's God, then you deny moral law between good and evil. If you deny the moral law giver, then there's no moral law, then there's no evil. So what's the point of the question? You can't ask that question properly, logically, without a moral law giver, without God. Does that make sense? So, think of that society. When there is no God, who creates the moral standard for people? You do. It's an autonomous moral code. And what we have is chaos. It's so easy to talk to someone who has an autonomous moral view, because you say, okay, why do this, why do that? And they're going to be subjective about it. But then all of a sudden you say, no, I disagree subjectively. So again, there's no form of objectivity to rationalize these things on. There has to be something objective. Killing babies is wrong. Killing babies is wrong. Terrorism is wrong. It's demonic. It's evil. Right? We would all agree. That's objective. It's objective. Why? Us as people, it's objective because we have a moral lawgiver, and that's God.